Now, last year, I was with my family in a small boat which was being buffeted by wintry waves just off Pembrokeshire, and we were watching hundreds of puffins and guillemots swoop and glide. And as we circled the remote Isle of Skokholm, we glanced at its even wilder sister island, Skokholm, and thought, wouldn't want to live there. Well, Richard Brown and Giselle do and will. They were chosen from hundreds of applicants to be wardens there. They're off next month, and until the end of the year, it's them and hundreds and thousands of birds, and they join us from our Carmarthen studio now. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Giselle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell us a little bit more about this island you're about to live on, Skokholm.
Skokholm, it's a spectacular old red sandstone island. The cliffs go up to about 160 feet in places, and all around it's an internationally important seabird colony. So you've got 45,000 pairs of Manx shearwater, which during the day are hidden down burrows on the island, and then maybe 5,000 of the puffins that you mentioned that you saw on the water. They come onto the island to breed as well.
The Manx shearwaters are the very noisy ones, aren't they? You only see them after dark.
Yeah, the Manx shearwaters, they spend most of their life out at sea, and they're built for the sea, basically. And when they do come into land, they're very vulnerable because the way that they're built, their legs are very far back on the body, so they kind of waddle around the grass. So if they come in during the day, they're vulnerable to predation. So they only come in at night time under the cover of darkness, and they let out an eerie, shrill cry. And there's 45,000 pairs there, so it's going to be pretty noisy.
You, Richard, and the noise of the birds. I suppose, Giselle, with a name like Giselle Eagle, you were destined to do something like this, weren't you?
Well, perhaps. There aren't any eagles on there. But yeah, I guess maybe my name has influenced my choice of work. But I've always been interested in this kind of thing. But I've always had the surname Eagle, I suppose.
Richard, it's very remote. It's incredibly windy. There is nothing there, really. Why do you love it?
Oh, there is something there. There's just a spectacular presence around you. You've got the stunning landscape. You've got the birds, not just the seabirds, but also with its position on the end of Wales, basically out into the sea. So we have all the migrant birds come as well. So in the spring and autumn, it's alive with lots of passage birds.
It is a beautiful place. The Welsh naturalist Ronald Lockley lived there for a while, didn't he? I mean, so somebody has lived on the island, and he set up this bird observatory, which you're hoping to do as well. So what do you hope to discover when you're on there?
Well, exactly that. There's 18 bird observatories currently in the UK, but the first one was on Skokholm, and like you say, set up by Ronald Lockley in the late 20s. And he realised what an important place it was for monitoring these passage birds. Basically, we want to go there and emulate what he did and become the 19th bird observatory, get reaccredited. So basically, we'll be there to count all the birds. And although just in one season, that doesn't necessarily tell you much, we're looking at long-term data sets. So the plan now is to be established as an observatory and just keep going and going. And over time, we'll get to see fluctuations in birds' numbers, how they pass through the UK, when they pass through the UK.
Now, there's no running water, there's no electricity, or there's little electricity. How are you going to manage?
Well, we're going to have solar panels, which should go some way to give us enough power to charge laptops and mobile phones and radios, etc. I guess in the summer it's going to be there gets quite a lot of sunshine on that island. I think Rich has a fact that I didn't know, that it's the sunniest place in Wales.
Is it really?
Apparently.
I think a lot of the Welsh islands like to say they're the sunniest place in Wales, and the clouds don't build up because there isn't a landmass there. So.
The famous sapphire skies of Pembrokeshire.
That's it.
Oh, it's the most beautiful place in the world, Pembrokeshire. How well do you get on with one another? I know you've been seeing each other for some time, but if it is just going to be the two of you and the hundreds and thousands of birds, you hope that you don't have any irritating habits that might wind each other up.
But we get on very well, and Rich knows now that I'm always right, so he doesn't question me so much anymore.
We share a passion for wildlife and being in the outdoors, so we get on incredibly well.
Is there anything that you'll miss when you're on there? You're there from February to November, aren't you?
That's correct, yeah. I mean, we'll obviously miss friends and family, but we see them in the winter and they can come over to the island. So,
How often can you get off if you choose to?
Well, there's going to be boats on Mondays and Fridays, weather permitting, and they'll bring over residential guests who'll come and experience life on the island and work with us, see what we're up to, so they'll be able to get involved with counting the puffins and emptying the moth trap and watching us ring the birds and understanding a bit about what we're doing.
Yes.
So we could go on those boats if we wanted to, but we really want to be there for the whole season.
Of course you do. It would be lovely to come and join you, actually, and look at the storm petrels, those lovely little seabirds. They sort of flutter over the water, don't they? Patter their feet on the waves.
Yeah, they're fantastic little birds. The size of a swallow, and yet they spend our winter out in the Atlantic getting battered by all those gales off the waters off South Africa potentially, and then they come back to places like Skokholm, these really important predator-free islands. There's never been rats on Skokholm.
We've got Patricia Scotland here, and you love your nature, don't you? Is there something you'd fancy to go on to Skokholm?
I think I'd love to go and visit, but the thought of staying there on my own for that length of time, I think power to your elbow, because I don't know whether I'd quite make it as much as I love nature. I think I'd certainly miss my family, and if you can imagine taking the whole of my family onto that island, it'd make it pretty heavily populated within a very short.
Richard, you were out in the Caribbean, weren't you, doing some bird work?
We both were, actually. We went out together for 9 weeks, again to an island. We've got a bit of a soft spot for islands. We were actually working on a rat eradication. So, like I say, Skokholm's so important because there aren't rats there.
I love how romantic. You go to the Caribbean and eradicate some rats.
Did you manage it?
Well, you can't say for 2 years, but we did, hopefully. It does look that way, but 80% of the world's islands have introduced predators because of man, particularly rats, and they obviously impact heavily on the seabirds. So
of course they do, yeah.
A really important job to go there and get rid of them.
Oh, well, good luck to the two of you. In true Desert Island Disc style, I think before you go, you should tell us what 2 things you're going to take with you. Richard?
I'll definitely want to be taking my binoculars. They're probably the most important thing, so I can see everything that's going on around us.
Anything else?
Well, we will have our laptops, and I will have a lot of music on my laptop. So,
Giselle?
Well, I've thought long and hard about this, and I think I would have to take my recipe book because on the islands that we've been on, you don't have all the things that you need to cook the perfect recipe. So I've got lots of recipes that are made up and invented that I can't remember. So I would want that written down.
Anything else that you'd take with you? You see, she doesn't need much, does she?
I don't.
She's got a boyfriend, she's got the birds. What else do you need?
You don't need anything more.
Good luck to the two of you, and it'd be fascinating to hear the sort of work you do. So do come back and talk to Saturday Live when your work's completed. Have a lovely time.
We'd love
and if people want to come and see you, you were saying that we can volunteer and ring some birds with you. How do we do that?
So if you head to the website welshwildlife.org, there's a page there about staying on the island, and you can come and stay in the 18th century farmhouse that Lockley actually renovated and help us with the work that we're doing. So, from looking at colourings on puffins' legs to emptying the moth trap, you can come and get involved.
Wonderful. We'll put the details on our website too.
Thank
Richard
you.
Brown and Giselle Eagle, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.